service of CNC Worldwide.
CNC Podcasts are a service of CNC Worldwide, brought to you by the Greece Chamber of Commerce, providing more than 800 member companies with business solutions since 1984. Officials at Strong Memorial Hospital say they're ready if somebody shows up at their emergency department with symptoms of the Ebola virus, but they think the flu is a far more realistic threat to public health in Rochester. Epidemiologist Dr. Paul Grayman says so far they haven't had anyone present with the Ebola symptoms, but everything is in place to diagnose and quarantine such a patient until the state health department or federal CDC labs confirm whether they have Ebola or not. Dr. Grayman says it's always possible for someone to travel from Western Africa after being exposed and land in Rochester before they get sick, so it is necessary to be prepared. Grayman says it does require physical contact to transmit the Ebola virus. It cannot travel through sneezes and coughs like the flu. United States Senator Charles Schumer is asking the Federal Emergency Management Agency to declare Camp Good Days and Special Times a critical services organization. That will allow the Camp for Kids with Cancer access to federal disaster aid to rebuild after this spring's floods. Camp Good Days in Branchport suffered more than $500,000 in damage during the torrential rains that hit the Penn Yan area in Seneca County. The college at Brockport student who was stabbed in his dorm room on Tuesday has gone home from Strong Memorial Hospital. David Medina was stabbed in the abdomen and the arm when he answered a knock at his door that morning. Suspect Osei's Timothy has pleaded not guilty to an assault charge. Papers filed in court say Timothy confessed to the crime and says he was in a relationship with Medina. Medina and his family deny that. They say Timothy is a stalker. The 4-month-old Dansville baby who suffered a head injury when a pickup truck went through the front of his family's house continues to hold his own. Kalen Fly remains in guarded condition at Strong Memorial Hospital. Members of his family and extended family have been constantly at his bedside. His aunt says the family is offering thanks to first responders and everyone who helped find him in the rubble after the accident and who brought him back after he stopped breathing. She says they're also thankful for prayers and asking for more. Monroe County, the City of Rochester, and Frontier Communications have signed a contract to upgrade Rochester's 911 system to a state-of-the-art enhanced 911. E911 is emergency calling for the digital age. More than 70% of the Rochester area's 911 calls now come in from wireless devices, but the 25-year-old system now used is geared to the needs of landline phones. 911 Center Director John Merklinger says an E911 system will handle emergency calls, texts, emails, even video streams from all types of handheld cell phone and internet-connected devices. It will also pick up emergency medical alert devices and car crash alerts like the OnStar system. 2 city residents are under arrest for armed robbery after they carjacked a woman, then blundered straight into Monroe County Sheriff's deputies. The Sheriff's Department spokesman says a female victim was robbed at gunpoint on Lene Lane in Chili and her SUV was stolen. As deputies were responding, the stolen SUV was pulled over on Buffalo Road. Dennis Thompson and Michelle DiCarlo of Rochester were arrested, and a loaded gun was found. Both suspects are charged with first-degree robbery and criminal use of a weapon, and both are now in the Monroe County Jail. A Webster teenager pleaded not guilty yesterday to driving under the influence of drugs when he crashed his car into a dumpster back in April. That crash seriously injured 17-year-old Solomia Blico, who was in the passenger seat and took the force of the crash. She is still recovering from her injuries 6 months later. Police say 18-year-old Vincent Scatia had both marijuana and anti-anxiety meds in his system when he crashed on Holt Road. He's charged with 3 counts of vehicular assault and 3 counts of driving with ability impaired by drugs, and he's due back in court in November. The CEO of a Rochester electronics company will pay more than $360,000 in restitution to his investors under a court order obtained by the State Attorney General's office. Attorney General Eric Schneiderman says Candletronics and CEO Salvatore Candeloro deliberately defrauded investors, making false representations about the company's securities. A state Supreme Court judge issued an order for Candeloro to refund their money and pay $3,500 in penalties. Candletronics was founded by Candeloro to make a product called Extended. It was supposed to allow customers to pull power from an outlet without an extension cord. He raised more than $1.8 million in loans and from investors to bring that product to market, but after more than 16 years, never delivered. Constellation Brands of Victor continues to benefit from worldwide growth in beer drinking. The company is taking steps to ramp up its production by acquiring a glass bottle plant in Mexico. Constellation says net sales were up by 10% in the second quarter at $73 million. Strong consumer demand pushed net sales of beer up by 9%. Mayor Lovely Warren, state and neighborhood officials joined in cutting the ribbon Thursday on the new Hardy Park Apartments at Jefferson Avenue and West Main Street. The inside and out redevelopment of a 1920s row house completes renovation of what the city calls the Gateway at West Main that leads into the Changing Scenes neighborhood, bringing new investment into that part of Rochester where the city's been focusing its efforts. Your next CNC podcast is whenever you click on one of these pages and catch one. We post updates as necessary. I'm Bud Lowell, CNC News.